Adam Sandler is one of the most famous actors in Hollywood. His voice, his sense of humor, and his presence are staples in American comedy and have been for decades. From the days of Saturday Night Live to iconic films like Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, he became a living legend and master of comedy. However, beneath the surface, there's a duality to him that confuses both fans and critics alike. How can the same man known for his comedic roles and goofy personality also be able to handle emotional roles that need an entirely different skill set? This is the Adam Sandler paradox, that he's got us guessing how he's managed to balance one with the other. The 1990s were Adam's golden years. His humor was infectious and had audiences rolling around laughing. And ain't no doubt that he became a household name in no time. Films like Big Daddy, The Water Boy, and The Wedding Singer were box office successes and made Adam a comedic genius. His characters were always the goofball, the one who got what he wanted in the end through a lot of dumb jokes and just sheer determination. His man-child persona was something irresistible and resonated with millions of people around the world. His movies was a breath of fresh air and were always loved by people who wanted some lighthearted entertainment, a relief from the pressures of life. For fans, he was an icon of fun. The characters he played, from the underdog hockey player in Happy Gilmore to the heir in Billy Madison, was all absurd but loved by everybody. The comedy, the ridiculous scenarios, and the antics were all a staple in his early career. But as his success grew, so did the stereotypes about his work. Now, critics started to label his films as immature and lowbrow and dismissed them as just low forms of entertainment. These critics loved the more serious actors and wasted no time tearing Adam down for his roles, even if his star power brought in money at the box office. For every fan that adored him, it felt like there was a critic trying to bring him down. Now, for Adam, this was a rather interesting space. At one point, he was immensely successful and beloved by millions, yet he was still considered an outsider by critics and award committees. Now, even though his movies made hundreds of millions of dollars, he was not considered an artist. He was just a funny guy. But what they didn't know was that behind the goofy characters, a more complex performance was hiding all along. In 1999, Adam took a major step by starting his own production company, Happy Madison Productions, his first step towards creative independence. It was all about his comedic vision, movies he controlled, scripts that he liked, and characters that he wanted to play. He was happy, the audience was happy, but then something surprising happened out of all this. In 2002, Paul Thomas Anderson approached Adam with a role that he had never played before. He wanted him to star in Punch Drunk Love, a film that required Adam to deliver a deeply emotional and vulnerable performance. See, for this role, he had to take off and set aside all the outrageous humor and goofy faces that he'd been wearing for years. This was a straight-up strange pairing, but somehow, it all worked out. Adam's portrayal of Barry Egan, a socially awkward, emotionally unstable man trying to navigate through a love story with nothing like anybody had ever seen. The critics who used to dismiss him was at a loss for words. Was this the same actor from Happy Gilmore? Does this mean that Adam Sandler could, really act? For Sandler, the decision to take the role wasn't a difficult one. He was really drawn to the character, to the challenge of doing something new. As he said in the interviews, Paul had written the role especially for him, and he was more than willing to dive into it. Despite whatever nerves he had, he embraced the opportunity, and his performance won him a lot of acclaim. And there were even whispers of him getting a potential Oscar nomination. Now, this was a huge turning point in his career. All of a sudden, the world was seeing this new side of him, a side that's always been here and never had the opportunity to come out and shine. The man who made us laugh was now making us cry. Around that same time, he was facing some transformations in his personal life, too. In 2003, he married actress Jackie Titone, who'd worked alongside him in Big Daddy and Lil Nicky. Now, the two started a family together, and Adam clearly spoke about how much his family meant to him. This goofy comedian was finally growing up. But life doesn't exist without some hardships. Only a few months after his wedding, Adam's father, Stanley Sandler, passed away. Adam was devastated by his loss, and the grief affected him both personally and professionally. It was a significant moment of change for the comedian who had spent so much time making other people laugh and making fun of life's difficulties to erase their burden. And now, well, he was experiencing his own pain, and it showed in his work. His films started to become more deep and emotional. In 2007, he acted in Reign Over Me, where he played a man dealing with the loss of his family in the 9/11 attacks. It was a role that required a lot from him emotionally, and once again, he showed the world that he was capable of a lot more than just comedy. His portrayal of Charlie Feynman was heartbreaking and one of the most raw performances that he's ever delivered. Now, critics, though, still didn't accept him wholly. Now, some of them praised his performance while others were unable to get over the Adam Sandler of Happy Gilmore and accept the new one in Reign Over Me. Yeah, they was waiting for him to break character, to throw in a joke, but he didn't. He was fully committed to that role and portrayed it with all of its nuances in mind. Despite his detour into dramatic acting, he ventured back to his comedic roles too. Grown Ups and Just Go With It were two films that were box office hits. But even in these films, there was a sense that he'd evolved and his comedy had gone from physical humor to being more about the dynamics of friendship and family. His critics still demean the man, especially for films like Jack and Jill, which won a record number of Razzie Awards for the worst film. A lot of people have called him a man-child, while others said that he was out of touch with his acting. But he ain't never backed down. He knew the kind of movies that he wanted to make and he made them. It wasn't about getting the support of critics for him. It was just about making people laugh. When asked about all the criticism around him, Adam said that he was neutral. At one point, it really bothered him, but he learned to ignore it. After all, his movies were successful and his fans adored him. For him, that was enough. In recent years, he has again proven himself. In 2019, he starred in Uncut Gems, where he took on one of the most intense roles of his career. As Howard Ratner, a fast-talking high-stakes gambler, he was phenomenal. The film received a ton of good reviews, and his performance earned him a lot of praise, with a lot of people calling it the best performance of his career. But still, the guy's humble about his success. When he was asked about the Oscar nomination whispers regarding Uncut Gems, he just shrugged it off, saying that the awards don't matter to him. What mattered, as always, was doing the work and making something that he was proud of at the end of the day. Now, it's in this paradox, this duality of Adam Sandler, right? At one point, the guy's a huge comedian, and at another, a serious actor, somebody who makes us laugh one moment and then sob the next. He's a man-child of Happy Gilmore, but he's also that tortured soul of Uncut Gems. Now, it's a very delicate balance that only a few actors have ever been able to achieve, and this dude does it with a lot of ease and class. Now, in the end, his career ain't about pleasing everybody, but staying true to who he is, whether that's a comedian or a dramatic actor. And you know what? Maybe that's the secret to his success. He ain't gotta be just one thing. He can be both. So what are your thoughts on the Adam Sandler paradox? Make sure you let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in the next episode.